Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a truly fascinating story about community, innovation, and, well, food. We're looking at how a Pasadena church's simple goal to deepen their communal bonds actually evolved into a fully permitted culinary social enterprise. It's absolutely a brilliant case study in how physical infrastructure, combined with shared labor, can just completely transform the way people connect with each other.
So, how exactly does a basic churchyard sale transform into a full-on commercial food subscription service? Let's set the scene. On October 10, 2026, the Pasadena Presbyterian Church is scheduled to host a yard sale. But here is the thing. The primary goal of this event isn't just about fundraising. The real objective is to unite their English, Spanish, and Korean ministries. They wanted to move way beyond the superficiality of formal, stiff meetings to create something deeply unifying and, most importantly, tangible.
Section 1. Moving beyond spoken words, the limits of language.
You see, the core problem these groups faced was that language itself can actually be exhausting. Think about it. Relying on constant verbal translation inadvertently reinforces the exact cultural barriers they were trying to dismantle in the first place. So what was the solution? Tactile fellowship. Working side by side on a shared physical task entirely replaces those awkward conversational hang-ups with the ease of creative labor. The grace of just sharing physical space does the heavy lifting that words so often fail to achieve.
And the congregants, particularly the retired members of the English language ministry, were totally on board. They expressed a fervent, almost restless desire to just get busy and work together. They wanted to push the envelope of what traditional ministry even looks like. The driving philosophy of their proposal really boils down to this: the labor is the love, and the love is the labor. They absolutely did not want more meetings. They wanted action and a rhythmical, organized commitment to one another.
Section 2. The Rhythm of Shared Labor. Introducing Holy Kimchi.
Okay, so how do you actually put folks to work in a meaningful way? Well, the planners initially tossed around an idea involving soapstone carving, but they quickly pivoted to a beautifully tactile culinary solution. The Korean ministry stepped up and brought forth the foundational model of gimjang. Now, gimjang is the traditional practice of communal kimchi making. By its very nature, it requires individuals to slow down, share physical space, and pool their resources. The proposal joyfully branded this brand new initiative as, you guessed it, Holy Kimchi.
This process brilliantly illustrates the discipline of presence. Making kimchi is not light work, guys. It's a highly physical, shared rhythm. You're washing the cabbage, you're splitting the heads, salting the leaves. And it's so poetic, right? Just as the salt gracefully breaks down the rigid cabbage leaves, the shared labor breaks down personal and cultural rigidities. Finally, the anaerobic fermentation stage becomes this profound exercise in patience, basically surrendering control over to natural design.
Moving right along to Section 3, the regulatory roadblock, California cottage food laws.
Now, like any good story, this grand blue sky vision almost immediately hit a massive, unavoidable constraint. Initially, the idea was just to use private congregate home kitchens to host these gatherings, but California public health mandates firmly closed that door. The law explicitly prohibits utilizing private home kitchens for a large-scale subscription-based food model. They needed a commercial-grade facility to operate legally and safely. For a lot of community projects, that kind of bureaucratic red tape would literally be the end of the story. But they didn't just pack it up and go home. Instead of giving up, they totally flipped the script. They chose to view these strict health code regulations not as a roadblock, but as the exact kick in the pants they needed to finally modernize the church's large, dormant, centralized kitchen up to commercial code. By upgrading this existing infrastructure, they realized they could transform it into a permanent, legally compliant, sacred space that belonged equally to all the ministries. Which brings us to Section 4, Cuisine as a Service, the economic engine.
Transforming a massive kitchen is expensive. So how are they going to actually pay for these upgrades? The solution was a digital Cuisine as a Service subscription model. Think about your standard traditional bake sale for a second. You make the food, you hope people buy it, and because demand is totally unpredictable, you end up with high food waste. But with the Cuisine as a Service model, subscribers pay up front. This creates highly favorable cash flow to fund the kitchen, and it completely eliminates food waste because the production quotas are mathematically guaranteed.
So, let's circle back to that date, October 10, 2026. That upcoming yard sale acts as the official launchpad for this entire economic engine. The master plan is to sell the very first legal, commercially compliant batch of Holy Kimchi at the event. They're going to utilize every single transaction as a strategic opportunity to convert casual, one-time buyers into long-term, monthly digital subscribers.
All right, Section 5, the Holy Guacamole Vision, Scaling the Sovereign Workforce.
The crucial takeaway here is that once the kitchen is funded and fully permitted, this self-sustaining model scales entirely on voluntary commitment. It relies on a sovereign workforce just choosing to show up for their shifts. So, once Holy Kimchi proves successful, the plan is to hand the keys of the newly modernized kitchen over to the Spanish language ministry for their inaugural project, a tamalada. This is a communal gathering centered around the traditional, rhythmic, and very labor-intensive production of tamales.
Logistically speaking, tamales are pretty much the perfect vehicle for a subscription product in this artisanal food renaissance. Why? Because the corn husks actually protect the masa, allowing them to suffer reheating impeccably. They retain their moisture, their texture, and those complex flavor profiles flawlessly for the end consumer back in Pasadena, providing deeply comforting, wholesome sustenance.
So as you can see, this whole thing is a brilliantly phased rollout. Phase 1, establish the model and fund the kitchen with Holy Kimchi. Phase 2, expand the footprint and bring in the Spanish language ministry with tamaladas. And finally, Phase 3, well, that brings us to the ultimate whimsical culmination of this multicultural culinary legacy.
And that culmination is the mouth-watering, lighthearted punchline of the entire proposal: holy guacamole. Yes, really. It's this deliciously real goal that keeps the community motivated through all those dry administrative hurdles and kitchen upgrades. It's the perfect representation of just how joyful, integrated, and fun a shared space can truly become when diverse traditions seamlessly come together.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Look at how this community reframed a strict public health law from a total roadblock into a catalyst for modernizing their infrastructure and uniting their people. What dormant infrastructure in your own community or your own organization could a regulatory kick in the pants transform into a sacred space of shared labor? It's a powerful reminder that sometimes our biggest obstacles are actually the exact blueprints we need for incredible, unifying innovations. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep looking for those opportunities to build your own tactile fellowship.